Hello guys, welcome to another video. If you watched my last video, you know I've been dealing with a bit of a knee issue, partly caused by failing to warm up correctly for my runs. So today I'm going to take you through my running warm up. So it's really important that you warm up correctly before you run. You want to make sure that you're taking your muscles and joints through the ranges of motion that might be required during the activity ahead. So I'm going to show you a number of dynamic stretches, so they're movement-based stretches that are going to activate all the right muscles that are going to make sure you're running with good form and therefore avoiding injury. So as I just mentioned, they're dynamic stretches, they're movement-based. So the static stretches that you might be accustomed to, the stretches that you hold, for example, this quad stretch, save those for your cool down. Try not to do too many of those in your warm-up, if any at all. There is research that suggests that static stretches before you do an activity can actually weaken the muscle for the activity ahead. Just another point to address that some people get a bit caught up on as well is whether to go for a jog or a run before doing these dynamic stretches as part of the warm-up. I think that's each to their own. Sometimes I like to do a 5 to 10 minute slow jog or fast walk and then do the dynamic stretches. Other times I'm happy to do the dynamic stretches at home and then get out of the house and go for my run. Exercise number 1 that I start my warm-ups with is called a standing glute kickback. Now I know I've just been talking about how these are all dynamic stretches. This could perhaps be classified as more of an activation exercise. So basically it's serving to activate your glute muscles, which are incredibly important when it comes to running. If you haven't got your glutes firing, then your technique is going to break down and you're going to be more likely to pick up some injuries. So this is why I start with this exercise, get those glutes firing. And it's a really simple one, as you can see. So the things to mention here, both feet are pointing forwards. There's a slight lean forwards onto the front, putting your weight onto the front leg, which causes your back leg to go onto your tiptoes. The movement here is all coming from the glute in your back leg. So to get the movement, all I'm doing is squeezing my glute and it's bringing my foot back and off the ground. What you want to avoid is involving your lower back at all. You don't want to be arching your lower back. And I just like to start with 10 reps on each leg. That's exercise number 1. Moving on to exercise number 2. This one is called opening the gate. So all you've got to do here is just drive your knee upwards so your thigh becomes parallel with the floor, and then you open your hip. So you bring your knee out to your side. So one of the keys to this one is just make sure you keep facing forward. This is all about opening your hips up, this one. And I like to do 6 to 8 reps on each side. So next up is exercise number 3. So you've opened the gate, now it's time to close the gate. So exercise number 3 is closing the gate. So self-explanatory, you're just reversing the movement from the previous exercise. So you start by driving your knee out to your side and then bringing it in to your midline. And I like to do 6 to 8 reps on each side. Exercise number 4 is front to back leg swings. So standing on one leg, you are swinging the other leg back and forward, taking the hip through its full range of motion dynamically. And I aim for about 10 reps on each leg. Exercise number 5 is side to side leg swings. Again, standing on one leg, you're swinging your leg from side to side. So with exercise number 4 and 5, balance can be a bit of an issue sometimes. There's no problem if you want to hold on to something. And I find with the side-to-side leg swings, using your arms as a counterbalance is quite a good way of balancing as well. And again, with the side-to-side leg swings, I like to aim for about 10 swings on each leg. Now, moving on to exercise number 6. So this is going to be the Lunge Matrix. So the Lunge Matrix is made up of a series of different lunges, trying to target lots of different planes of movement and therefore activating different areas of the lower legs. Now, I'm sure we've all done lunges in the past, but just a couple of teaching points so you're not doing them incorrectly. When you step your front leg forwards into the lunge, then think about driving your back knee towards the floor and creating that right angle of your knee on your front leg. So you want to avoid your knee going too far past your toes. And it's important to ensure you keep your torso nice and upright as well. So looking at it from a slightly different angle as well, you want to make sure that your front knee is tracking your toes. So you want to avoid your knee sort of caving inwards. It should again put your knee in a compromised position, so avoid that. So the first part of the lunge matrix is just a standard forward lunge with a couple of extra tweaks added to it in order to make it relevant for running. Think about, as you bring your leg forward, think about kicking your heel up in that running motion. And also think about using your opposite arm as you would during your running stride. So I do 5 of these lunges on each leg. And then I move to a lunge with the twist. So again, a forward lunge. Once I'm down into the lunge, I then twist towards my front leg to look behind me. And again, I aim for 5 on each leg. And then I move on to the lateral lunge or the side lunge. So keeping facing forward, simply lunge out to the side. So your outer leg is the leg that bends. Try and keep your torso nice and upright. If you've got quite tight hamstrings, you might find yourself leaning forwards a little bit. Again, 5 on each side. And then we're going to move on to a transverse lunge. So this is a lunge at an angle behind you. So you keep one leg planted, pointing forwards, and then you turn your body to a 45-degree angle behind you and lunge with your front leg. And following the theme, we do 5 on each leg. And then the final lunge of the lunge matrix is the backward lunge. Instead of driving your front leg into the lunge, this movement is all about using your back leg as the initiator of the lunge. Try and get your arms involved in this one as well. Obviously, to simulate running, you want the arm that is driving forwards to be opposite to the front leg. And that's 5 reps on each leg. And that's the lunge matrix. So these next few exercises, as well as taking the muscles and joints through their full range of movement, they're also going to start really increasing your heart rate. So once you're done with these, you'll be ready to go straight into your run. And exercise 7 is high knee skips. So during this exercise, you're standing nice and tall and driving the opposite arm and opposite leg whilst skipping forward. The key is to think about exploding vertically, and you'll feel some calf involvement here as you move onto your toes. And the amount of reps I tend to do here is about 10 on each leg, so 20 in total. Exercise number 8 is high knees. So you can do this one standing on the spot, or you can do this moving forwards. Quite simple. You're just driving your knees up and also using your arms at the same time. A common error with this one is people don't involve the hip and they just bend the knee, and therefore are only working their hamstrings. The way I like to think of it is I want to bring up my heel towards my glutes in a straight line. So naturally you're going to reduce the angle at your hip as well. And I like to do 20 to 30 reps in total. Exercise number 9 is side to side with an arm swing. So facing forwards, you're skipping from side to side whilst at the same time swinging your arms out to the side. By this point, you should feel like your heart rate is getting up there and you should be ready for your exercise ahead. And I like to do a total of 10 reps to each side. Exercise number 10 is a little bonus exercise I like to do. And it's just some bent over lateral raises. So bending forwards at the hip. Both arms straight and pointing towards the floor. You raise your arms out to the side, thinking about pulling your shoulder blades backwards and down. So this exercise is a good one to just activate those postural muscles so you don't tense up in your upper traps whilst you run and get those knots forming in your upper traps, because that can be quite uncomfortable. And I like to do 10 reps. That's what I've been doing for my warm-up. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got something from it. If you did, leave a comment below. If you want to see more videos like this, let me know. And yeah, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and happy training.